What's up, everybody? Welcome back to Spoiling Movies. My name is Chris, and I'm going to do a movie review, and I'm going to tell you as many of the main points that happen in the movie as possible, and how I feel about them, and there will be spoilers. This week's movie was also given to me by my buddy Charles. Thanks again, Charles. And it's Night Flier. I'll go ahead and give you my pre-spoiler opinion if you haven't seen it. It was surprisingly okay. I guess it was kind of better than I expected. It had, some interesting prosthetic, practical effects and certain types of gore. It had a couple interesting gory moments, and there's a creature in it, and the creature looks okay. I mean, it's okay. It's a decent looking creature. Anyway, the movie is okay. It's not great. It's fine for its time, and it feels very, very Stephen King-y. It's a Stephen King written adaptation thing. I mean, it's kind of fun. It's not great. Whatever. I mean, we're getting into spooky season, so here's a little bit of a spook maybe. So anyway, that's a sort of recommend from me. Now on with the spoilers. There's a guy that's like an air traffic controller guy, and he's working in this little building, and he sees that one of the little planes is not moving, and so he's like, "What are you doing? Get out of here, pal. We're gonna have to move you out of there." So he gets out there, goes and looks at the plane. He can't see if there's anybody inside. There's blood on the side of the plane. You know, one of those little single engine Cessnas or whatever. And there's blood on the side. And he opens up the door to the plane, and he looks inside, and then he gets his head slammed in the door, and then he gets out and he turns around, and then fucking gets slashed. His face gets slashed, and it looks kind of cool. They do a nice effect. And then there's like a silhouette of like Dracula creature monster kind of thing. So this dude, I can't remember the actor's name, but I've seen him in some stuff. He is working at the tabloids. He's like their best tabloid journalist, and he's mad at the boss because the boss cut a picture that he wanted to use of a dead baby or something. The boss guy tells him he's got to cover the plane vampire killings or whatever, and he's like, "Yeah, I don't want to do it, but okay, I guess I'll do it or whatever." And there's a new young journalist lady. She wants to be the next big thing, but they're like, "Nah, you're not there yet, kid." Whatever. So she follows journalist reporter man to the bar, and he starts giving her horror stories like, "You're gonna turn out like Dottie. Dottie was a girl who worked with us a while back. You don't want to know what happened to her." But he tells her what happened to Dottie. Dottie got into this world of weird shit that they're reporting on, and ended up killing herself. She was in a bathtub with a bag over her head. Killed herself because it was too much weird shit going on. I guess she couldn't handle it. So young reporter journalist girl she's all freaked out. She's like, "Okay, I gotta go." So she runs out of there. Then they show this elderly woman acting very strange, hearing her husband, I guess, and he's getting killed by the Dracula monster in the house, and she can kind of see it through the window, but she's just smiling. She's just loving it for some reason. Can't really figure out why. She goes in the house, Dracula monster. I guess we're seeing from his perspective. He kind of, after he kills the other guy, he kind of comes for her, and she's still smiling. Whatever, I don't know. So main reporter dude has his own little plane, so I started thinking maybe in the end he's gonna be Dracula man. Maybe he just doesn't realize that he switches into a different personality or something. So that was my guess going 15 minutes in or whatever. So reporter guy flies his plane to a location where one of the murders happened, and there's this old mechanic who sounds kind of like the guy from Pet Sematary, the old man that's telling the story about what happens up down that road there. You know, what comes back ain't what you buried it. And so he kind of is telling a story about well, old Claire was doing his thing, and there was this strange looking fella with a cloak as black as a woodchuck's asshole it was. And then he keeps telling the story about the guy that used to work there that died. He was acting funny. He was acting funny, and he was washing the plane, and while he was talking to that guy, he noticed there was a bunch of dirt underneath the plane and maggots and shit. They all think that the killer is this guy named Dwight Renfield. That's as far as back as they can figure out what's going on here. And we're getting flashbacks, and they see that the guy, which was named Claire, which seems odd to me, he died, and they like show us image where like his head is just hanging. He's laying, and his head's just fucking hanging back, and he's missing the whole fucking part of his throat, and just ripped the whole way out. And it looks pretty good. They did a good job on that. Journalist man goes to the grave of Claire, Mr. Claire, whatever the... I don't know why his name is Claire. It's a very odd choice. They also mentioned that he flew in from Derry. So this is Dwight Renfield guy. He flew in from Derry. You know Derry? Remember Derry? From Stephen King? Derry. He likes talking about Derry. Not lactose intolerant, believe it or not. If that's true, I'm just fucking talking about Derry. But you know, Derry, Maine, where like the kids from It and like all this shit happens in fucking Maine or whatever. So reporter guy goes to the grave of Claire dude, and he like takes the flowers off the grave and puts some dead flowers on there. And he cuts his hand and he wipes blood on the gravestone, and he like kicks it so where it kind of is askew, and then he starts taking pictures, and he gets stopped by some weird groundskeeper guy. And he's like, get out of here, you don't desecrate, you respect the dead, you get out of here. And he's like, I got what I wanted anyway, fuck you. Walks out. So reporter, journalist man goes to sleep in a motel or whatever that night, and he has a Dracula dream. And he wakes up from the nightmare, and he sees on the window, it says, stay away, and it looks like it's written in blood. Somebody's trying to keep him from the truth, they are. So the boss at the tabloid place tells the new girl, she's like, he says, you gotta get out there if you want that story that other guy's gonna get. You know, you want it too, don't you? It was your story first. So you need to get out there and do what he's doing. And so she flies out to where that guy is doing his shit. And they've said the phrase night flyer a whole bunch of times at this point. They just keep saying it over and over. There's a really nasty car accident with a lot of dead people. He kind of goes in like Nightcrawler style. He's like moving the limbs of the dead bodies, like for way too long. Finally, one of the cops, investigator, highway patrol, whatever the fuck they are, see him and like, you need to get out of here. This isn't for you to be, you know, you're not supposed to be here. And he's like, okay, fine. Like, all right, you get out of here, you. Somehow this guy is able to get away with everything, whatever he wants. He shows up at crime scenes, so he's just tearing police tape, just walking into a crime scene, taking pictures, moving shit, taking shit. Sees the body of a headless man, and then he sees the head in the corner somewhere. And the old woman's body is there in bed, and she's dead, and her body has been drained of all blood. And she still looks happy. She's smiling. There's broken mirrors everywhere in the place. He decides to leave. He's got everything he needs there, all the pictures. And as he's leaving, there's this creepy, mangy-looking dog, and it's on the roof of the trailer house thing. And it's kind of following him and watching him, and he's trying to be cool, and he starts kind of running to his car, and the dog's chasing him and barking and shit, and he gets in the car, and he like starts driving away, and he looks back, and the dog is still on the roof. The dog might not have actually been chasing him. It might all be in the mind. I actually kind of liked that moment. I thought that's kind of a nice tense moment, like, oh shit, that dog's gonna fuck me up, and you look back, and the dog's like just still there. So journalist guy is at another bar, and bartender brings him a Bloody Mary, and he's like, I didn't order this, where'd this come from? And he's like, guy at the end of the bar bought it for you. And he looks, there's no guy at the end of the bar, and he looks underneath the little coaster napkin, and it says stop now in red or blood or whatever. Somebody don't want you to figure out what's going on around these parts. As he's leaving the bar, he sees the black Cessna or whatever fly like out and away, and he curses, I'm gonna find you, Dwight Renfield or whatever, Dracula. New reporter girl finds him at the same motel. They meet up, and he's like, you get out of here. And she's like, I'm gonna make it in this business. I'm gonna get the story. And he's like, you're never gonna make it, but I'll share the headline with you if you help me. And she reluctantly decides that they can work together and help or whatever. Main journalist dude is a dick throughout the entire movie. He keeps calling the new reporter girl Jimmy Olsen, a Superman reference. He just keeps calling her Jimmy over and over. He also smokes in 95% of the scenes that he's in. Just fucking smoking all the time. So they both kind of work together for a little bit, and they're calling a lot of different leads and trying to figure out shit. And she leaves the room because they found something. And she comes back and she's got her gear ready to go. And there's an empty room and she's like, what the hell? Where did he go? And she turns and a blanket gets thrown over her and she gets pushed into a closet and like, barricaded in the closet. And the guy's like, you don't have what it takes, girl. I'm just going to take the story from myself and get out of here. And I was thinking, like, you could have already gone. You went to all the trouble to, like, put a blanket over her and shit, but I already thought he was gone. I was like, he fucking skipped town or whatever. But no, he could have already been gone. He came back to wrap a fucking blanket on her and shit. So he leaves and he's like in his own little personal plane thing again, and he's talking to his recorder thing, and he, like, well, we're gonna catch this son of a bitch, and we heard about him. So the place that he's headed to, he radios in on the plane to see, like, what's going on, where he's supposed to land, and did you hear about it? And they're screaming. There's a whole bunch of people screaming at the place that he's supposed to land. And then Dracula Man gets on the radio, and he says, this is your last chance, don't come here, quit following me, just stay fuck out of my business. So he lands at the runway place, and he sees the black plane that the Dracula guy had been flying, and he goes, investigates. He sees like blood on the plane. He sees more dirt underneath, and dirt and maggots and shit underneath. Opens up, gets in there. He sees like photos of like the old woman and some guy. He also had like pictures of or like his magazine covers for the tabloid or whatever back there. So he walks into this airport, and just everybody's dead. Just everybody's bloody on the floor. Everything's bloody. So he's walking around. He's taking pictures of all the dead people, and they all look pretty good. They got good makeup and shit. And he's walking around, and he starts he's taking pictures, but he starts kind of getting upset. Like, it's starting to bother him a little bit. He's like talking to himself and shit. He goes into the bathroom, starts looking around, taking more pictures, and he's looking into the mirror, and behind him he hears pissing, and there's a urinal where there is the spot where the person is pissing. It's Invisible Dracula Man or whatever, but it's like red, it's like bloody pee, but it's just kind of appearing in the toilet. And I thought that was kind of a neat little touch, whatever that special effect was. That was kind of neat. And then the mirrors start busting out. So I guess the Dracula vampire mythos thing where you can't see their reflection, apparently they just want to bust out those mirrors so there's no reflections at all, I guess. So then we see the dark bits of the dark Dracula Man monster behind journalist dude, and he says, I told you not to be here. Now pull out your camera. Look at your camera. Open it up. He opens up the camera. Dracula Man with his creepy prosthetic glove thing with his creepy fingernails starts ripping out the film and whatever. And he sounds like Rorschach from Watchmen when the Dracula guy talks. So I thought I told you not to follow. I can't do a good Rorschach voice, but yeah, he kind of sounds like that. The people will look up and ask for help, and we'll whisper down no. The people will want me to stop sucking their blood, and they'll look at me and I'll say no. So then Dracula Man says, quit fucking following me, get out of my fucking business. And he starts walking away, and Journalist Man's like, show me your face! So he turns around and he starts walking towards the camera. And then we actually get a pretty cool effect with the, when we do see the monster Dracula face. It's kind of cool looking. And you can tell, like, when it opens up, one of the weird teeth is, like, attached to that mechanism. So, like, when it goes down, like, I don't remember, it was on the top or bottom, whatever. It, like, one of the teeth goes, like, into the mouth and out of the mouth when it, like, comes up and down. Whatever, it looks kind of cool. But he's still calling him, like, Dwight. Dwight! So, like, the monster having a name, being previously named Dwight Renfield, kind of makes it more lame as fuck. So, Dwight Dracula comes back over, cuts his wrist open, and forces Journalist Man to drink his blood. And then, like, everything goes into, like, crazy smoky vision. Journalist Man's starting to trip out. There's, like, smoke everywhere inside the airport building thing. And like, people, all the dead bodies in there start, like, getting up and, like, kind of talking to him and walking toward. And in the background, there's this weird, like, laughing and crying sound that's very disturbing. And there was a little dead girl in the thing, and a little dead baby girl zombie gets up, and it's really fucked up. And one of these zombie vampire dudes is like, hey, look over here. Let me get your picture or whatever. And like his eyes start going, like, and so they're taunting him because he's been a shitty person, just taking advantage of people's misery. And so there's another one where Dottie, the woman that killed herself, like wakes up and she's like, fuck you, dude. And another woman with the dead baby that he took pictures of, she's like, where's my fucking baby? Blah. And that part's pretty cool. The ending's pretty cool. But he grabs an axe and he starts fucking these zombies up, chopping these motherfuckers with an axe. And then the cops show up, and it's just him there, just bashing people with an axe. Like, he's gone out of his mind. What I guess the Dracula fucking blood made him crazy, and he killed those people. Maybe it was all in his head. I don't really know. But the cops start shooting him, and they just fucking blast his ass. And there's a weird moment where we see the Dracula guy kind of like walking out, and like as the lightning strikes him, like his creepy monster face goes back into a photo of the guy that was with the old woman. So that was her lover or husband who had turned into Dracula, and so whatever. It's a lame moment because it's just like, come on, man, Dracula monster, that's cool. But it's like, no, it's Dwight Renfield. Like, who cares? Make it Dracula. New reporter lady tells everybody that he was the Night Flyer, that he was the guy who killed everybody. So she stole his story, and now she's like on the front page. That was the whole movie. I like the little switch that they did at the end with the good new girl just kind of being like, well, fuck you, dude, it's my turn. And so, you know, she starts taking over. I thought that was kind of cool. I enjoyed the movie. I don't think it's very good, but I kind of enjoyed some of it. I guess I kind of enjoyed it. There's not enough of the monster. I feel like if they showed him more doing things, it would have been a little more interesting. It reminded me a little bit of In the Mouth of Madness, but I think that was a John Carpenter movie. Some of the sets look cool. It looks like it's obviously like a lower budget type movie, and you know, like it's passable for the 97 or whatever, whenever it came out or whatever. You know, sometimes the interiors look really good and real, and you know, sometimes they show buildings in the background and stuff, and they don't really look real to me, or at least I was taken out just a tiny bit, thinking about it too much. The music was pretty tense and Stephen King-ish, I guess. The acting was 90s appropriate, I guess. So anyway, this is introduction to spooky season. My first spooky movie. I think I can get in 2 or 3 of these spooky movie reviews before the spooky season is over. So I hope you guys enjoyed. Leave me a comment. Let me know how you're feeling or thinking. Have you seen this movie? Do you like these types of movies? What do you think about Stephen King, you know, adaptations and things like that? Just let me know. I like to hear what you guys have to say. And that's it. Thanks for watching, guys. Peace out. Down that road. You don't want to go down that road. A lot of history down that road. You don't want to go down that road. That almost fucking ruined what I was saying. I wrote in my notes, get back in your Cessna, you Dracula bitch. That's kind of what that moment made me feel like.